Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. So there are some big changes coming to Arena. They said in patch 10.4. I don't exactly know what that is, but I think it's going to be next expansion's big rollover re-standardization patch. And yeah, they made a video about it. There's no blog post, so if you want to see the original stuff, you can go through the link below. It is a video format though, but I'll cover everything in my video. And I think my interpretation is going to shed some clarity on what's actually going on, more so than other sources that I've read so far. So there is one main core idea behind their changes, and it has to do with when you draft a deck in Arena, you don't really have very many decisions. And this is something I've repeated for a really long time, where people are like, hey Krip, you're using Hearth Arena again. That's basically cheating. Well, there's really not, because if you look back at a draft, at least 20 picks, sometimes as many as 28 picks are just, insane card versus two trash tier cards. You're not really making a decision. The reason you'd use Hearth Arena is because sometimes you might miss some extreme synergy situations, and it does tell you that. So, it's like, oh, I didn't realize that Wild Pyro was better than Fireball because I already have a lot of spells but no board clear. Something like that. That's a pretty good example, actually, of why you would want to use these draft tools if you are a solid Arena player already. Now, what Blizzard is doing is they are making the groups of cards that are being offered no longer just 3 cards of one type of rarity, 3 fairly random cards of one type of rarity, I should add. They're making the role of the set of cards be how good the card is. So the example that they use is, instead of getting Fireball, Wisp, and Ice Barrier, which honestly, I think that happened yesterday, right? That happens all the time. They're definitely right about that. The example that they used is you might see Fireball, Leyline Manipulator, and Primordial Drake. So there is certainly some decision making here, but it's pretty interesting that they used this example, and I think people have accurately pointed out that Leyline Manipulator is not on the same power level as the other 2 cards. So a bit of a whoopsie on that one, correctly pointed out by several people in the community. But Fireball and Primordial Drake are definitely top tier cards in Arena. So those definitely belong together. And some of you guys might be concerned that this screws up the strategy in Arena, where you play around similarly powerful common cards but not the epic quality. So a good example would be, you're up against Priest and you want to play a bunch of stuff so you could roll them over and kill them pretty soon. So you have to make a decision. Do you play around any board clear? Can you afford to play around any board clear? Well, if you can, maybe you should play around Holy Nova because it's common, but not Dragonfire Potion because it's epic. It's much less likely that they'll have Dragonfire Potion. So, most likely it's correct to play around Holy Nova, but into Dragonfire Potion because of that very reason. So the rarity of a card is really important when it comes to decision making within the Arena games themselves. And Blizzard says that in their video they're not changing this. So even though these card groupings are going to be, Fireball, Leyline Manipulator, and Primordial Drake, Primordial Drake will show up in the top tier card bracket, I guess, a lot less often than a card like Fireball, because, well, Fireball is a base card categorized in the fairly common side of things, whereas Primordial Drake is an epic card. So they're keeping these bonuses. They're keeping the spell bonuses, they said. They're temporarily disabling the expansion bonuses, but the fact that these are being talked about means that these occurrence bonuses, most of them at least, are still going to be in effect, and that does drive a lot of the strategy, a lot of the odds when you're actually playing the game. So that's very good, very good. So that's the core of what they're changing, and there have been a lot of people voicing concerns that I feel are actually incorrect, and the main one has to do with how can we trust Blizzard to know which cards are as good as other cards, right? That's, just a reasonable question if you look at it simply, but really it doesn't matter because right now we do have Fireball, Wisp, and another piece of garbage. So right now the balance of that is not there. So now Blizzard is making an initiative to try to balance the cards that you're presented. So it can't be worse. Like, yeah, they might do a crappy job. Probably they're going to use their algorithms and stuff, as they have used quite successfully in this expansion, I should add, to make adjustments as, they get data from the players playing their new cards, new expansions, and all that. So probably there's going to be some adjustments, and in the end, I'm sure it's actually going to be pretty good. But why does it matter if it's not great at the start? It's terrible right now. There is no decision making in most cases when you're drafting a deck. So at the very least, it's just going to be better than that. So why don't we just accept that and give praise to Blizzard for actually paying attention to what we've been complaining for a pretty long period of time in terms of the arena players, right? That's pretty good. Another little change that I actually think is more relevant is, in addition to all of that, they are reducing the chance that you will see bad cards. So cards like Wisps and all that, you're going to see them less often when you're drafting a deck. So naturally, the power level of arena decks is going to be, on average, higher than before these changes go through. And honestly, I think that is the most concerning thing. What I really liked about Arena, I've been playing Hearthstone since pre-beginning. I've been playing Hearthstone in the beta. What I really liked about Arena is you got to try to make the most out of some really crappy cards. And there's two really cool things that come from that. The first is there's a surprisingly large amount of skill in making the most out of a card without text on it. Now, obviously, you don't want too many of those in your deck, but utilizing cards that are generally not very good, or at least lackluster, is what makes, I feel, arena players great. And if we're not going to see too many bad cards, it'll just be who draws the better card, right? I mean, yeah, obviously it won't be that extreme, but I think this is something that will lower our overall experience playing arena. So that kind of sucks. And the other side of it is, with the average card quality going up because they're reducing the chance of you seeing crappy cards, well, it's going to be a lot less impressive when you have a really crazy deck. And certainly there's some issues with that. You don't want to be playing against extremely crazy decks all the time. But, when you do get like 7 Flame Strikes or something like I have gotten before, you want that to feel special. You want that to be extremely unusual. And so that experience will be a little bit less unusual, and that'll suck a little bit more. I forgot to add, they will be keeping one rarity bracket, and that's the legendary bracket. So if you do roll legendary, you will just get 3 legendary options, but they will also be taken into account. So you'll get 3 legendaries of the similar type of power level, according to Blizzard. So again, I think that's quite fair. So overall, that stuff is pretty good and pretty interesting. I think we might miss playing around and making the most out of decks filled with Chillwind Yetis, but we might just have to accept that those days are over. And the days that are coming up will include an extra set of cards. These cards were voted on. I don't know exactly how. I had a really busy BlizzCon last time, so I'm not sure exactly how these were voted, but these were voted. These cards here were voted at the last BlizzCon to be included in the arena system. There's one for each class, and starting in 10.4, when all these other changes go live, you will be able to draft these cards in your deck. Now, some of these are really, really good, so probably they'll be fairly rare, but we will have to see. Just quickly glancing at them to give you guys some idea. Hand of Salvation, interesting. Polymorph, interesting. Discover a new minion that's surprisingly bad a lot of the time for 5 and you lose your previous minion, kind of whatever. Deadeye, we've seen that before. The Druid card is pretty interesting, but, you know, hand buffers, you're looking at, what, Doppelgangster, which is rotating out of Standard. The Warrior Weapon is kind of cool. I like that. It's very anti-zoo. Bottled Madness should be quite strong, but very reliant on the demons available in the given standard set. Crackling Doom is going to be a problem card with the Shaman Giant that has its cost reduced based on how much mana you've overloaded. I don't know if you can overload 10 when you only have like 2, but I'm pretty sure you can, and I'm pretty sure that is going to get extremely out of control. Smoke Bomb is kind of cool, and Generous Spirit brings back some Doomsayer action. So if there's any other cards that come into play that are like Doomsayer, Generous Spirit will get much crazier than it is already. So I think that's a pretty good card. Overall, I actually think the Shaman card will break the game, but we'll see just how good it is and just how rare it becomes within the new system. I hope you guys have enjoyed my recap and review of the upcoming arena, and honestly, I'm pretty excited, and I hope you guys are too.